we need to come up with a comparative question based on what you guys have already suggested that you would like to look into, investigate. So just to recap, all right, if you wanted to present it again, just kind of say what it was that you thought about, and you can start that from scratch.
Okay. My initial question was, how do woodpeckers not break their beaks when pecking at wood?
Good. And in line with the Q.U.E.S.T model, if you one at a time, you can do it again for me, please. Start off on my left.
Right.
And then continue on.
So restate the question. So my question
No, not that. Just read these.
Okay. So we had question and observe. Uncover, compare questions.
You gotta read it. Good job.
Start, action, plan, and gather data.
Good.
About finding and sharing discoveries.
Good job. So those speak for themselves, right? And the question that you came up with so far was excellent. So now we want to create some sort of a question of comparison. All right, so that when we investigate, we have two things to compare, so to speak, or more, right? And so, what do you think is a good thing to compare? We talked about it kind of already, so we did kind of cheat ahead of time. But what do you think is a good thing to compare with the birds to kind of, or even the things that they're pecking at?
So what I would compare between the birds is their beaks. So the woodpeckers might have evolved to where their beaks have become like almost kind of like solid, so like when they're pecking at the wood, so that their beaks do not become injured in the process. But what I also believe is that the type of wood that they peck at is old wood, so wood that has a tree that has already died. When I went to eco camp and we were bird watching, but I noticed the tree had already died. It had no leaves, no nothing. So they were pecking at, I would say, dead wood. So I feel like that's the difference between like birds, like other birds living on a living tree with with leaves and branches, whereas woodpeckers would go at dead trees and peck at probably the soft spots in the trees.
Okay, so I'm thinking then if birds eat insects and other small creatures for their sustenance, then we're going to be comparing the type of beaks size-wise, because it's really difficult for us to really get in there. This may even be difficult as well, so of course it has to be reasonable in terms of your plan to gather the data. So we have to consider, are we going to be able to observe the beaks of the birds? But this is where we're at, so we can go with it, right? And so maybe we could look at
when you just mentioned that the insects, right? Now that I realize in dead trees there might be termites and other insects. So the woodpecker might be pecking at the dead tree to get any small insects such as termites or little worms maybe.
Right on, exactly. They eat.
Yeah, they eat it. They're getting their food, their nutrition.
So we're comparing tomorrow when we go to the freezer, or even today when we go out, we're going to be observing different birds that we can get close enough to see.
Right.
And observe maybe the length of their beaks, perhaps.
Yes.
And we're going to compare the different beak sizes. Maybe we need to narrow it down. So compare the different beak sizes in birds to see if there was something about the woodpecker that makes it more able to get into the wood compared to other birds that don't peck at wood, that maybe go on the ground and swoop down and grab their food at that way.
Yes.
Right? So we're going to start formulating this into a question. But you know what? How about you guys see if you could formulate what we just said into a question? I don't know if there's anything, Ashley or Miss Ashley, that you wanted to chime in there, because I know that you got some bird experts at the preserve that look into you to guide us.
Listen, my bird knowledge is quite new.
Same here.
Yeah. But based on what she said, she's a good point. I also mentioned the adaptation, with birds, animals in general, they adapt to their environment, what it is they do over time. So their beaks in particular may just might one of the things would be strengthened and built for wood in as the simplest terms as possible, because that's what they do. So that was my first thought, which being woodpeckers, that they've adapted so well over time that their beaks are the strongest beaks that, among many birds, because that's what they do. They pack wood.
Comparing the beak sizes, and then you also mentioned Sandiana, right?
Yes, sir.
The size of the age of the wood, whether it's living or dead, beak sizes, and let's say wood strength. Is that a good word to put? Wood strength, wood density.
Because the tree branch trunk would usually be slender, so it wouldn't be a big tree, right?
And that's good that you got to actually see that in person. So like one like me, I literally have no knowledge of seeing a woodpecker in person and noticing what it is that they do in real life. So by you actually having that experience and seeing that, that's pretty beneficial to figuring out the answer to this question.
Right. And it says observe, so you would have to observe it to like make these predictions.
So is this a good question? So a good comparative question would be comparing, at least this is me extrapolating from what you guys said, comparing the beak sizes and wood density to determine if there is a difference that allows woodpeckers to be effective at acquiring insects.
Right.
Or let's even narrow it down and say food. What do you believe in insects?
Exactly.
Okay. That sounds like a good comparative question for us.
Yeah.
Alright, and we'll see if this is even realistic tomorrow, if we can even observe it. We may not see any woodpeckers, and then if you can modify other birds, right? And you can always modify your research and your study based on what the real reality is. Alright, so good job, y'all, and I want to thank Miss Ashley.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming up, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we visit the preserve.
I can ask you a million questions.
No problem. Thank you guys.
And I can see if I can get a picture taken before you go.
Okay.